In October of 1962, a retired railroad foreman named outside Dayton, Ohio, walked onto a Chevrolet lot with a paper envelope of cash and drove home in a Suburban carryall for $1,895. Today, the cheapest new Chevy Suburban on any dealer lot in America starts at $62,000, and a loaded Cadillac Escalade crosses $110,000 before tax. That same working man on the same pension could not drive one off the lot today if he saved for 4 years. Before this countdown is over, you will hear about the luxury wagon motor trend, clocked at 217,000 miles on its original short block. The full-size cruiser the U.S. Census tied to more rural households in 1978 than any pickup, and the quiet body-on-frame hauler dealers right now cannot move off their back lots. Detroit did not forget how to build these trucks. General Motors and Ford decided in boardrooms in the late 1990s that a truck your son could repair in the driveway was a truck they could not sell you twice. If you remember when a man owned his vehicle instead of leasing his dignity, subscribe, because this channel is for you. Let us begin the countdown. Number 5, the 1996 Buick Roadmaster Estate Wagon. This was the last full-frame V8 rear-drive wagon Buick ever built, and it was bought new by school principals in Missouri, retired postmasters in Alabama, and Air Force lifers settling into Florida after 30 years in uniform. It carried 6 grandchildren, a Sunday ham, and a trailer with a fishing boat all at once without complaint. In 1996, the Roadmaster Estate stickered at $25,400. The Bureau of Labor Statistics pegged the average weekly wage that year at $490, meaning a disciplined man could buy one in roughly a year of honest saving. Now picture it. Pre-dawn in Branson, the LT1 small block turns over on the first crank, that low iron rumble you feel in the floorboards before you hear it. The vinyl wood trim is cold under your palm, coffee steam on the windshield, the smell of warm transmission fluid rising through the vents. Popular Mechanics tested these engines past 200,000 miles with no internal work, and Cadillac Fleet Records showed the same block-running cruisers to 300,000. Buick killed it to clear the Arlington plant for SUVs with higher margins. What replaced it was the Rendezvous, a front-drive plastic crossover that could not tow a jet ski. The Roadmaster wagon did not die because America stopped needing it. It died because Detroit stopped respecting the men who bought it. Number 4, the 1994 Ford Crown Victoria LX with the optional handling and performance package. Not the police interceptor, the civilian LX, the one bought by widowers in Tulsa and retired machinists outside Grand Rapids who wanted a quiet highway boat with a body on a frame. This was the last true American sedan a 70-year-old man could step into without bending, without climbing, without electronics telling him he forgot his seatbelt 4 times in 6 blocks. New price in 1994 was $21,900. Average weekly pay that year, $463 per the BLS. A retired union electrician could write the check out of a pension lump sum and still eat. Picture the scene. 2 a.m. on Interstate 40, outside Amarillo, the 4.6 modular V8 humming at 1,800 RPM, the bench seat wide enough for a thermos and a road atlas, the smell of old leather and diesel from the truck stop still in the vents, Odin track. Measured the Crown Vic's body-on-frame chassis to outlast unibody sedans by a factor of 3 in rural Midwest salt conditions. Ford ended production in 2011 and replaced it with the Taurus, a front-drive sedan that could not be repaired by a man with a floor jack and a socket set. The Crown Vic was the last sedan built for men who still changed their own oil. When Ford closed the St. Thomas plant, they did not just end a car, They ended the idea that a working man deserved a quiet, dignified ride into old age. Number 3. The 1998 Mercury Grand Marquis Colony Park. Factory workers in Flint bought these. Dairy farmers in Wisconsin bought these. Coal country widows in Harlan County, Kentucky drove them to church for 20 years without once opening the hood. New in 1998, the Grand Marquis cost $23,000. A man on Social Security and a small pension could finance one over 36 months for under $400 a month, insurance included. The engine is the same 4.6 Ford used in the Crown Vic, torqued low, timed, gentle, sipping regular, unleaded at 24 miles per gallon on the open road. Picture the driver, 8 in the morning, frost on the windshield, the pillowed velour seat warm from the block heater he plugged in at 5. The column shifter clicks into drive with that small mechanical honesty nothing built after 2010 can replicate. Popular Mechanics documented Grand Marquis taxis in Phoenix passing 400,000 miles on original transmissions. Mercury, the brand, was killed by Ford in 2011 to make room for the Edge and the Escape, crossovers with CVT transmissions that fail at 90,000 miles and cost $6,000 to replace. The Grand Marquis was the last affordable luxury car in America. When it disappeared, working-class dignity in the driveway disappeared with it. Before we get to the top 2, you need to understand something about how this happened. In 2001, a General Motors internal product planning memo, later cited in SEC filings during the bankruptcy proceedings of 2009, laid out what executives called the transition strategy. The language was plain. Body-on-frame passenger vehicles, meaning the Roadmaster, the Caprice, the Fleetwood, the Suburban in its old form, were categorized as low-revenue retention platforms. Translation: men kept them for 20 years. They did not trade up. They did not finance. They did not come back to the showroom. Jack Smith, then CEO, signed off on the plan to retool Arlington and Lansing for SUVs and crossovers with 3-year lease cycles and engineered service intervals designed to push owners back into dealerships every 60,000 miles. Ford followed in 2005. Chrysler in 2007. Within a decade, every vehicle built for a man who wanted to own something outright for 20 years was discontinued. This was not evolution. This was a coordinated exit from the working-class customer. The cars did not fail. The business model of selling a car once was killed on purpose. Number 2, the 1999 Cadillac DeVille. Buick for the foreman, Cadillac for the boss, and in 1999, a used DeVille with 40,000 miles sold for $18,000 off a Chevrolet lot in Little Rock. The Northstar V8 made 275 horsepower, ran on regular gas, and the factory tested the block to idle for 100 hours at operating temperature without coolant as a durability demonstration. Motor Trend verified the test in 1993. Nebraska farmers in their 70s still drive these today, 280,000 miles on the odometer, leather seats cracked like a good saddle. Picture it. Late October, a grain field outside Kearney, the DeVille parked at the edge of the stubble, heater on, AM radio low, the smell of warm vinyl and cold corn dust. What modern people cannot understand is that this car was built to be driven, not displayed. Cadillac replaced it with the CTS, a sports sedan aimed at men 30 years younger who lease. The DeVille was the last Cadillac built for a man who had already earned everything he needed. Number 1, the 1994 Chevrolet Suburban, the GMT400 generation, the 5.7-liter, 350 small block, 2-wheel drive or 4, it did not matter. This is the one parked at your grandfather's house. This is the one that pulled the horse trailer, the camper, the boat, the church van, the family of 9, the load of firewood, the casket. Texas ranchers, Pennsylvania steelworkers, Oregon loggers, Georgia pastors all bought the same truck. New in 1994, $24,000. A running example today in the Midwest, $2,500 on a corner lot. The 350 small block is the most produced V8 in human history, over 100 million units, and Motor Trend documented fleet Suburbans passed 450,000 miles on original bottom ends. What modern people cannot understand is that this truck has no computer that cannot be bypassed, no sensor that cannot be replaced with a $15 part from a rural parts store, no transmission that cannot be rebuilt on a concrete floor in a pole barn. Chevrolet replaced it with the GMT800, then the GMT900, then the current K2, each one heavier, more electronic, more expensive, and less repairable. The 1994 Suburban is the last truck built by Americans for Americans who expected to fix it themselves. When it is gone, the last physical proof that we once built things to outlast us will be gone with it. I spent 3 weekends last spring driving from Columbus to Roanoke, looking at a 1996 Roadmaster wagon an old man's widow was selling. $2,800. It started on the first turn. The oil on the dipstick was clean. I did not buy it, and I have regretted it every week since. This weekend, drive past the small independent lots on the edge of your town, the ones with hand-painted prices on the windshields. One of these trucks is sitting there right now, waiting. Tell me in the comments which one your father or grandfather drove, and what county, what state, what town. I want to know where these cars are still remembered, because these were not just vehicles. They were the last proof that an American working man could own something outright, keep it running with his own hands, and pass it down without apology.